So when you're running a campaign, right, especially at, this, when we are teaching the different channels and platforms, you'll anyway go through it in much more detail. But in general, when you're running an ad, what you look at is saying, how do you select an audience? Who is your audience? And please note this, okay, your offline audience may be very different from an online audience. So someone who walks into a arrow shop, right, or a Van Heusen shop offline will be very different from a person who is buying Van Heusen online, right? So it's possible that I would never have seen Van Heusen, or enter the Van Heusen offline because it's very intimidating for me, right? But when I go onto an Amazon and I see a 50% off, I'll go and buy it. So whenever a Van Heusen's deciding its strategy, Van Heusen can't say that people who walk into my store are all 45-year plus, so I will only sell to 45-year plus, right? A social media audience will always be different from an offline audience for every product other than if it's an FMCG product, right? Because FMCG is just bought off the store, no intimidation, no store to worry about. So then that's easy. So, you go and buy Doritos from a shop, you will also buy it online and it's the same customer. But most of these brands will have a different audience. So for example, people who walk into a bank, I don't know when was the last time I walked into a bank, right? So there are audiences who will never walk into a bank. If the bank says that I'm trying to sell loans and I want to only sell it to people, like the people who have walked into my bank, they will never be able to find an audience like me, right? So keep your audience profile. And whenever you're doing social media, right, the first step we do is we create audience profiling. And literally this is, having these random images of people, right? And saying that this person may like this, may consume this, may go for a run every morning, maybe working in this place. We actually create these different profiles of people and we share them with the agency or whoever's working on the campaign. And that person bases that, replicates that kind of profiling on an online space. And that's how the entire thing is decided. So, I'll not take you all through this because this will be too much now, but it's technically saying there is only so much that you have to decide. But each of these components has so much of logic behind. So, for example, on what basis do you bid, right? You can either pay for 1,000 people seeing your ad banner, right? Just seeing your ad banner, which is a CPM, which is cost per milli, which is technically a word for 1,000 impressions. So you can either pay for 1,000 impressions, you can pay for every click, you can pay for every lead. Now this actually seems to be very easy. You will say, why should we, either we do all impressions or we do all clicks or we do all these, but it doesn't work like that. There are certain campaigns and there are certain industry and categories which perform very well on a certain type of ad, right? So if I'm doing a brand campaign, I want more and more people to see it. But if I have an offer, I want people to click on it and come to the landing page. So that decision is, every campaign will have a different bidding model, right? And it also depends a lot on budgets. Do I have 5 lakh rupees or do I have 50 lakh rupees, right? Also, the other things, like I said, a lot of people consume videos on social, a lot of people only consume stories, a lot of people only consume text. Your audience, and always try doing a sample pilot before starting any campaign, or when you're even doing a content calendar, start with a small pilot at least for 15 days to check whether it's getting enough of traction. If you're getting enough people clicking on it, they're all, one of the best parts of social media is the fact that there's A/B testing possible, right? You can put up two different, images with the same text copy, and you can figure out which image works better. Or you can do it vice versa, where you have same image and different text copy. You have different call to action. One says buy online, one says apply online. See which one's working better, right? So the entire A/B testing is possible on social, which otherwise is not possible on other channels. Then we discussed about lookalike and similar. So lookalike audience, like I mentioned, is people who are like your existing customers. Custom audience is upselling to your existing audience, so uploading the database of your existing customers and doing a campaign. The last thing, and this is supposed to be such a small thing, right, which is a call to action, saying what is a button saying? Does it say download? Does it say no more? Does it say learn more? The entire campaigns flop and get successful only because of this one thing. If people click on a button, seeing something, they go onto the landing page, right, and they believe you've fooled them, they will go out, right? A lot of times you will say buy online and you take them to a page which is just a lead form, right? Where they will get a call back and the person gets pissed off because the person is expecting an online journey, right? So call to actions are, the most smallest things. People don't even look at it. People say, kuch bhi laga do, but that's not how this works, right? The person believes you're fooling them or not basis what the call to action is. So just and after this, we'll just, quickly go through any questions you all have. But when you're starting a campaign, the first thing you say is my audience even available on the platform? Right now, let me put it this way. There are a lot of audiences available on the platform, and we wanted to do an affordable housing campaign. You have the affordable audience campaign on social, right? Those guys are the same guys who are consuming social as we are, going onto Facebook, watching videos on YouTube. However, what happens is it's very difficult to get them to do an action after seeing that ad, right? So, someone who used to help me at home, she has 3 kids, she has a mobile phone. She and her kids watch serials on the mobile phone on Z5, right? They watch Kannada articles on, I mean, Kannada shows on Z5. Now, when I'm doing it, it's not like they're not consuming content, right? But if I show her an ad for affordable housing, the point is to understand, saying, is will she be able to go through the journey of filling a lead form, or of, or of actually going through the journey of understanding the different products or what we are saying. So what we do is, here at this point we use social as only a mechanism of branding, plus we can have a button which says request a call back, right? You have a click to call option where you click on it, give a missed call, and the brand will call you back. So wherever you feel that the audience is available on social but may not be able to take action on social, use social as a mechanism for branding and then have a click to call campaign. So the person gives a missed call, you can understand the person's interested. The person can be called back by a call center person who speaks Kannada, who will take the person through the product and take the journey offline. So it's not a complete online journey, right? Now, as a brand, like I said, either you are there for promoting your product, or you're there for driving a purpose, or you're there for both, right? A lot of brands come there and, like a Doritos, only and only promote their own product. When that happens, my question is, how many of you will actually like that page and be willing to see, every 5 days of campaign with a Dorito product, right? It is not something that gives any information to the customer. It's not interactive, it's not engaging. So whenever you're planning a campaign, make sure that it's not 100% or 80% product driven, because though they want to create their brand presence, that way is not giving any story, right? There's no background story, there's just a pure product promotion. It's literally like a leaflet being shown at your face. So never use social only for pure product promotions. They'll never work. Now, the other thing that is extremely important to ask is social media my primary platform, or is it a secondary platform? There are a lot of brands which use social as the main platform, right? Which say that, okay, I have a TV, I have outdoor, but social is my main thing because I get to know how many people are actually interested, right? Outdoor, you put a billboard, you don't know how many people have seen it. So because of the measurability, a lot of people choose to put social as a main product. However, for example, I used to work with, VIP, the bags section, a couple of years ago. And at that time, what happened is the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, clearly said that, Pooja, every time I put a VIP billboard or I do a TVC, which is a TV campaign, I can directly see people walking into my store. Digital, however, because people buy it online, I don't have the opportunity to talk to the customer and tell them to buy one more brand, right? One more bag. So what they do is, when someone walks into a VIP showroom looking to buy a duffel bag, that person, because the salesperson is there, salesperson also tells here, also buy a handbag, or also buy a, a luggage suitcase. So they're able to sell more ticket size in one interaction than they do on online, right? Because online, the person comes, wants to buy a duffel bag, buys the duffel bag and goes. So for certain companies, it is not social media, though it drives the objective. It's still not going to be ever the main platform because they have a different reason for it. So ask questions to your brand person or your chief marketing officer or your business head and understand if there are any restrictions or background understanding of these things, which may impact the budgets that social gets. Also, if you are a product which does not have a post purchase involvement, so for example, if I buy a refrigerator, I am not going to engage with Samsung for at least the another 5 6 years till I don't have a complaint. And if I have a complaint, I will not engage on social, I'll call up the customer service, right? So in such cases, if you're a brand which does not have an immediate second purchase or does not have a post purchase, then there is no use of spending a lot of money on social, because you're not going to get people who have purchased your product, so actually supposed to be advocates, right? New guys will still not come and like and interact and share your information as much, but your existing customers also don't have any reason to, because there's no post involvement, post purchase involvement. So in those cases, don't put a lot of your budgets into social media for driving that objective. Also, start with doing a competitor analysis. Figure out if your competitors have a presence on social and what they are doing. Right now, for example, there is, there are one of the case studies I'm going to take you all through later is WeWork. Right, WeWork is a pure B2B company. There is no B2C involved, but WeWork is one of the main companies that do social media the best. If you actually go to social WeWork on Insta and Facebook and all, you will see it does social media beautifully. Especially its Instagram is actually an award winner also. So if you have, a WeWork's competitors don't have social media presence, right? So WeWork is literally a different league in itself. But when you're starting, there are very few companies which, when they look at competitors, they will see that there's no presence. If there's no presence, the only way it helps, it's not that you don't have to do social. The only way it helps is that the fact that even with little budgets, you will be able to achieve a lot, right? Because you're not competing against anyone in that space. So if you're able to do that competitor analysis and figure out that you don't need too much of budgets, then you're actually saving a lot of money. Now, one of the biggest things is if the company or the business does not have budgets at that point, don't spend money on content itself, right? So I'll tell you one of the mistakes people do. They spend 10 lakh rupees on making a video, and they only put another 10 lakh rupees for promoting the video, right? The rule, and literally it's a rule, is that if you are spending 10 rupees on making some asset on social or digital, you have to spend 3 times the amount for promoting it. So if you made it for 1 lakh rupees, spend 3 lakhs to promote it. Otherwise, it doesn't give ROI, right? Otherwise, if you don't have, and there are cases where last year we didn't have any budgets, right? In cases that you don't have budgets, do not spend money for creating content itself, because content is very expensive. You go to create an infographic, it costs between 10 to 15,000 rupees. You go to make a video, minimum is 35,000-40,000 rupees, right? So do not go on to platforms if you don't have the budget to promote it, because it's a waste of your initial investment itself. We already discussed about the company life cycle, saying what stage is the company at, and is it important for me to be on social? If it is, then what am I supposed to do on social? If you are in the decline stage, for example, social may really help you engage with your existing customers. So if you have, because you'll obviously be in the growth and maturity stage, you will have a lot of database with you. Upload the database and engage with that audience. So it really will help in a decline stage. When you're introducing, social is just one of the methods, right? You're introducing, you're in the introduction stage of your product. At that time, it's just one of the things. But at decline, it's actually a very, very important element of media planning. Also, we discussed this about, am I generating a hand raiser or am I getting an online journey? If you're an e-commerce, if you're Carrot Lane, if you're if you're Pepperfry, if you're any of these guys that can be bought online, then it's simple, right? Then you have an end-to-end journey. So you put in 1 crore rupees, eventually you are able to make 2 crore rupees, and you know what is the return on investment on that 1 crore, right? The other cases where you don't have an online journey, what you should do is you spend 1 crore, through your lead management system, you're tracking how many people have actually converted out of all the leads or hand raisers you got, and map it back. So there is a derived ROI, but there is an ROI, right? You're able to figure out if the entire thing is working. Today, social media is 100% ROI driven. How much ever people say that it's branding, and it is branding, but everyone goes back and searches for return on investment on each and every penny they spend on social. Also, if you're a serious product, right, if you have something which is extremely serious, don't spend a lot of money, putting a post and content on social, because people will not consume it, right? No one goes, when you go onto an Instagram, you are not looking at, interacting with a mutual funds customer or a insurance. I'm from insurance, right? You're not looking at interacting with financial boring products. So if you are these, either you start telling stories in a very, very beautiful way so people consume stories, right? Or spend only enough to promote your content to people who are interested in finance or mutual fund or whatever. Do not go and just spend random monies, because it's eventually, at the end of the year, you'll be asked what happened. And then if that ROI does not show, it doesn't make sense, right? So if it's a serious product, relook at why you're doing it and what is your objective before going for it.